This week, we got a crazy chapter in One Piece where we found out about a lot of things, such as how people at the Reverie escaped, truth behind Lelouch Kingdom's destruction, Gorose's real name. We get to see other seraphims, and at the end, we also get introduced to a character who might turn out to be quite special in the future. It was overall nearly a 10 on 10 chapter. Starting off, we see Vivi and Vapul escape and hide themselves in the ship of Age's kingdom, where Vapul talks to Morgan via Denden Mushi, who, by the way, is willing to help him escape from there, but also wants to know exactly what happened. And then we see Sabo is in the ship of Lelouch Kingdoms, and he is in a quite a dire condition than we first thought he will be in. We thought he will be fine and it will not be any major wound, but we were wrong. But that is also quite understandable, considering he took an attack of one of the endgame antagonists of the series. Jewelry Bonnie also hides in a ship of Tajine Kingdom. I think she may have reduced her age to make it easier to hide herself. Also, it's quite interesting to note that all these characters somehow hid themselves in the ship of kingdoms that were gradually started, showing signs of rebellion. Moving on, this time we finally get to learn all Gorose's name instead of it being introduced one by one, which we initially thought it would be. And just like we all assumed, all of their names are based on our solar system. Starting off, Saint J. Garcia Saturn, whose title is Military God of Defense. Considering his title, it is understandable why he has gone to Egghead. And then the tall man with long white beard is Saint Marcus Mars, whose title is Military God of Environment. And then the fat one is Saint Topman Valkyrie, whose title is Military God of Law. And then comes our Samurai Gandhi, whose real name is Saint Ethan Baron V. Nasujiro, whose title is Military God of Finance. And then we finally come to the yellow-bearded one, whose name is Saint Shepherd Jupiter, whose title is Warrior God of Agriculture, who might be dealing with the current problem that Marijoa is facing of food shortage. Finally, we get to know the real truth behind the destruction of Lelouch. Earlier, our guess was that it was done by the ancient weapon that Imo may possess. But after this chapter, it is highly unlikely that he possesses any ancient weapon at all. We learn that it was a weapon that was created by none other than Dr. Vegapunk, and its name is Mother Flame, and it was the first time it was ever used. From conversation between Imo and Gorose, we learn that Imo doesn't care about human life and is quite straightforward to his desire to test the power of Mother Flame on an entire island, and also wants Gorose to bring Vivi to him. Gorose at first tries to rationalize but quickly accepts Imo's order. Through this, we can say that Imo and Gorose's thought process and the way of action does not quite match. We also get to see Seraphim version of Doflamingo, Crocodile and Gecko Moria. Meanwhile, Sabo tells what happened in the Reverie to Dragon and Ivanko. Sabo also tells us how he fooled the world government with indirect call to Dragon. Dragon refuses to believe that the weapon that was flying above the clouds that annihilated the whole Lelouch Kingdom was the creation of Dr. Vegapunk, as he would not create a weapon of mass destruction. Ivanko starts connecting the dots and guesses the identity of Imo as one of the original 20 kings, and his name is Saint Imo of Nerona family, but thinks it may be a coincidence. Also states that since there is said to be an ability that could grant eternal youth, then someone has to have used it before. Also thinks that the weapon that destroyed Leloucia might be an ancient weapon, to which Dragon denies, because if they had it this whole time, then why did not they ever try to use it before? At the end of this chapter, we are introduced to a new character, a God Knight. I thought it would take us a couple of chapters to see any of the God Knights. And in this chapter, we not only get to see a God Knight, but he is also the supreme commander of God Knight. And he is also the former king of God Valley, which makes him the first God Knight and God Valley character to be introduced in the series so far, whose name is Saint Figarland Garlic, who is shown executing the only likable celestial dragon so far, Saint Don Quixote Mioscart. By this, we can assume that he possesses the authority to judge any celestial dragon, and his status might be near that of Gorse themselves. After this chapter, we are having a 5-week break, as Oda is going to have an eye surgery, and as always, he has provided us with a great chapter before taking a break. Goodbye.